Hey folks, everything new under the sun. This is breaking news. This is CNN.com. The FAA is pausing all U.S. flight departures. A system that provides pilots with notices they need before flying is experiencing an outage. Folks, at this point in time, you gotta say that there's a better likelihood that these are cyber attacks than simply mistakes or random events that are occurring with all the substation attacks, the pipeline attacks, the trouble in Florida. There was some flight issues there, and now today this FAA system is down. You got to say that evidence is mounting that we are under cyber attack from Russia. This is AzurHedge.com. Flights across the U.S. grounded after system-wide FAA outage. President has been briefed on the FAA system outage, says the press secretary. So this is on mainstream media news, so they're covering it. Jean-Pierre says no evidence of a cyber attack at this point. Of course they're going to say that. If they said there was a cyber attack, there would be panic in the U.S., there would be repercussions, and the authorities would have to actually say what exactly we're doing in Ukraine that could be getting retaliation from Russia. Now, they're not going to say that because they're not ready to go into all-out World War III. They're happy to do the proxy war. They're happy to cover these up as, random system failures, whatever. But it's curious, right? There's a lot of coincidences happening these days. A lot of coincidences. I will say again, there are a lot of coincidences and weird things happening. You guys need to pay attention to these weird things that are happening. All these supposedly unrelated events that are all coincidental and random, apparently, as we're being told, or they're not even reporting on them. You need to follow all the media and at this point, going forward, you need to at least posit the idea that anything that is happening now could be a cyber attack, could be a terrorist event, could be because we are battling Russia in Ukraine, and don't be confused. The U.S. is doing cyber attacks on Russia as well. Probably not from the U.S., but there's certainly proxies that are hitting Russia as well, and there's been a lot of explosions and things in Russia as well. And so, folks, very likely this is a cyber attack from Russia, and they're not going to say that. They're going to deny it and deny it and deny it. Remember, just before Russia invaded Ukraine, Zelensky was denying that any invasion was coming. Why? He didn't want to cause panic to the citizens. He wanted them to stay out of the picture, not panic, so that he could get his army in place. So the government will do this for your good, for your safety. Same thing with COVID, where they didn't provide a lot of information at the beginning. They didn't want to panic people. Right? So that's what's going to happen. If anything real is happening in the world, you're likely not going to know about it from mainstream sources because the government doesn't want to panic you. Update number 3, FAA is still working to fully restore the notice to air mission systems following an outage. The FAA has ordered airlines to pause all domestic departures until 9 a.m. Eastern to allow the agency to validate the integrity of the flight and safety information. And this is just the beginning. Note that Russia is probably holding back a lot of cyber attacks that they could be doing. They're just doing little pokes in the eye right here, right now. They don't want to engage the U.S. Fully in World War III, and so both sides are really doing just enough to let the other know that they're hitting them, but not enough that they declare overt World War III or to bring them down enough that would cause a country like the U.S. or Russia to say, you know what, we can't handle this, so we have to go nuclear. So these are all under the radar of the regular civilian. The militaries know what's happening. And they're just, again, under whatever the red line is to prevent them from going nuclear, but just enough to cause damage that maybe one of the governments at some point, either government, will say, okay, this is enough and we're going to stop. But that's not going to happen because U.S. has no interest in preventing war. So far, 1,366 flights have been delayed within, into, or out of the U.S. flight tracking website. FlightAware has showed another 108 were canceled. And it goes on with information about the FAA and the situation. So this is about the United States NOTAM system, and it says, since then, no new NOTAMs or amendments have been processed. Technicians are currently working to restore the system, and there is no estimate for restoration of the service at this time, said one of the NOTAMs. And NOTAMs, again, are notices, flight notices that pilots have to follow, have to be aware of, because they notify folks on restricted airspace and trouble going on, things they have to abide by. And so NOTAMs are important, and the system is down. So this is pretty incredible. Dozens of flights, this is a tweet, have been delayed at Charleston International Airport due to a FAA computer malfunction. Again, you have to look at these things and say, you know what? It's not a coincidence this is happening right now, folks. FAA computer outage. It goes on and on and on about outages, people sitting on planes. Be prepared, folks. And this isn't the worst. Wait until Russia really decides to do some cyber attacks, and wait for the panic to set in once the civilians, the Norman folks, realize, oh, maybe we are at war with Russia. Maybe Russia is a formidable opponent. Maybe they are able to touch us. We feel isolated in North America, in the Western world, from Russia. We say, they can never hit us over here. We can keep that war over there, and none of our civilians will know about it. None of the public of the United States or Canada will know about it or care, to be honest. Because when was the last time your neighbor talked to you about the war in Russia? Nobody cares about it because it's not happening here. We're not feeling it. But once we do start feeling it, folks, be prepared. Be prepared. People will panic. People will get upset. And we're going to have even more trouble when they really, really decide to send cyber attacks our way. So breaking news, folks. I'll leave it there. We'll talk to you in the next video.